it's Yaz from Yorkshire Peaches Therapies and welcome back to my channel. Hope you and your dogs are all well. Now in today's video I'm going to be having a look at a product that I have been quietly watching in the background for some time, and that is Tvati. Now initially this product was pointed out to me. Rodney obviously thinks it's true. It is for you, but we're going to come back to you in a minute. Initially, this product was pointed out to me by the wonderful Joe from Ingenious Probiotics. Now, Joe, anyone in the natural dog community will know who Joe is. Really wonderful guy, incredibly passionate, and just like a trusted source in the industry, right? Then I had another good pal, Clayton from the Pet Business Disruptors, talk about it. Then Carl and Leah were telling me about it, and I was like, I think I need to look at this, right? I need to have a look at this. Like these trusted sources are really telling me that I need to be looking at this. So, obviously, you all know they're talking about canine pain is my bag. I love talking about pain management. And when something like this crosses my desk, it does certainly pique my interest because it is something completely different that I haven't seen as of yet in the canine pain market. Now, before I kind of start talking about this product and, the ins and outs of it, so there's a research paper that I want to have a look at as well. Sorry, the cat's just trying to get in my rucksack. Mama. There we go, sorry. So before I kind of get into the nitty gritty of this product, I always like to kind of remind people that, look, when we're dealing with pain is a four-letter word, but it is incredibly complex. There is no one silver bullet. This is not going to be your one silver bullet. Non-steroidals are not your one silver bullet. Massage, Fatiza, all of the wonderful things that I utilise are not one silver bullet. It's about everything working in conjunction together. Due to the complex nature of pain, the comorbidities that come along with it, it needs to be like a multi-prong approach, right? And I am so far quietly confident that this is going to be another solid kind of prong as part of a multimodal management approach to pain. So I haven't used it as of yet. What I have read, I'm very keen to get started. So Rodney is who I'm going to be using as my little doggy, my little test subject. So he's just he's so funny. I'm going to be using Rodney as my test subject, and I think Rodney's a good one to use as a test subject. So his pain management strategy that he's got in place at the moment is a mixture of non-steroidals and paracetamol, and what else do you have, son? Supplements, raw feeding, massage, Fatiza. We have the multi-prong approach, right? But Rodney is hypermobile with secondary luxating patella, and hypermobility is not something that you can cure. There's no kind of like one pill. Again, it's about that multimodal approach. The same with luxating patella. It's not about finding a cure. It's about managing the symptoms. So he's 8 now, and you had a CT scan when you were 6, and there was no arthritic change in his stifles. There was, when we did an ultrasound, deep pain sensation when he had an ultrasound on his iliopsoas, but there was nothing that came up on the ultrasound. That doesn't mean that he's not in pain. He had a pain trace which confirmed that he had mild levels of chronic pain, and again I use the word mild as in yes, it may be mild that his C fibers are reacting in that certain way, but that doesn't mean it's a mild experience for him. So Rodney's a complicated little dog. His pain presents predominantly through his behaviour. His gait abnormalities are what they are just because of how he's built and how his collagen structure is affected by his hypermobility. But predominantly it's his behaviour that we see the pain kind of creeping in first. And to be honest, that's the case for a lot of dogs. I find that behaviour tends to be one of the first little red flags. And capabilities as well is another big one for him. So when I'm assessing for pain, I'm looking at my 4 pillars of pain. So changes in behaviour, gait, posture and capabilities. So those are the 4 markers that I'm using when I'm assessing a dog's current pain levels, because again it's all a hypothesis because our dogs can't give verbal description, but they can through their behaviours and how they present. But anyway, I'm tangenting it off at the moment. So Tvati, Tvati. I'm going to call it Tvati. So Tvati is a massage oil, and in this packet, so I've got 2 packets. In this packet, there is 30 0.5ml vials. Now, I will be opening this packet. I've got 2. So basically, you have to go with, I believe, a loading dose first, and they are currently going through a rebrand as well, but I'll go through what's on the packaging anyway. So, directions: hold vial upright, snap at tip and squeeze. For best results, apply the full contents of the vial to the back of your pet's neck, massage into their skin and avoid contact with eyes and lips. Store in a cool, dry place, recycle if available, or puncture and dispose of in a sanitary landfill or by other procedures approved by state and local authorities. Do not reuse or refill the vials. And the ingredients is hibiscus oil and organic coconut oil. That's it. I don't know if you can. I don't think it'll think it, but there. And if I hold it there, it might do it. So, and these ingredients are sourced from the Cook Islands. So there's no parabens, sulfates, fragrances or dyes. It contains coconut oil for external use only. Keep out of reach from children, and it's for animal use only. So, and it's packed in the USA, in Florida. And it's got an expiry date on it as well. So that'll be 2027, so that'll be next year. So, what is it? Firstly, what is it? So I've done this a little bit back to front this video, but anyway, little vials of massage oil. Now, as a massage therapist, I'm like, hello, massage oil, what is this? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to somehow pull up this research paper, because I want to show you some of the research paper that has gone into this and talk to you a little bit more about what I know about the product. It is limited, but I want to share what I know. Right, can everyone just stop scratching the surface, please? Mamo, please don't do that. Rodney, can you lie down? Can you lie down? Please? Alright, do what you want. Sorry. The joy of working with animals. So, I have pulled up the research paper. Now, this research paper is 317 pages long. I'm going to be honest. I haven't read it all. Because the gal is busy, but the gal did look at the bits that piqued her interest, for sure. So, 317 pages. That's a lot of information. And it's a thesis for a doctorate as well, was this research paper. So, very, very interesting, very, very thorough. So, the title is Investigation of a Novel Topical Agent, the Influence of the In Vivo Biology of Skin and the Effect on Bone Healing. Now, the interesting part, thank you very much, Graham Hugh Matheson, I think. The interesting thing that, especially when we're looking at kind of joint health for me, so joint health's always at the forefront of my knowledge. Obviously, we can feel pain in all other organs apart from lungs, but if we're looking at bone and skin, the reason that it's interesting is that the skin is a collagen-based structure, right? And joints are made up of collagen and bone and all those things. So I'm like, this is an interesting one for that. But in this particular one, they look at bone fractures and wound healing, I believe. So this is the abstract. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Indigenous medical technology has a long clinical oral history in cultures around the world. The use of extracts from plants provides the foundation of many therapies around the world, while scientific examination of such treatments is lacking. That's the case as well with a lot of the herbal knowledge that I have. I'm applied herbal choices consultant, and so for example, the likes of aspirin, its origins was from plant-based medicine. I believe it was meadowsweet, and they took a component of it. If you look at things like morphine, that origin was from poppies. So this is something that we have long understood, that plant-based medicines absolutely have something to bring to the table and have provided a foundation for modern pharmaceutical. Mama, will you stop scratching that chair? Thank you. What was I saying? So yeah, it's there. We know it's there. We know how it works. It's like when I talk about using peppermint tea for digestive upset in us and our dogs. Like, it's just a common thing. Well, in English culture, I'm assuming that it's we use peppermint tea. But is there that much research about it? Not particularly. There is a bit, but there's not a lot. And there could be more, but again, if we are researching into plant-based things that we can source ourselves, big pharma will not like that. So there's not a lot of money that goes into it. So that's why research papers like this, this thesis for a doctorate of philosophy, I think it was, is important. Anyway, so where did I get to? The application of a novel topical delivery derived from plant extracts that induced a physiological response to the skin as well as bone is reported in this thesis. The novel preparation comprised of an extraction and concentration of particular plants that have had a long-standing but poorly understood use in Cook Island ethnobotany. The extraction procedure utilised edible plant oil derived from the coconut palm, commonly referred to as coconut oil. We know how beautiful coconut oil is. Like, well, I should hope you do. I recommend it for topical use for down-to-be skin. This extraction technique was chosen based on the ethnobotany history of the Cook Islands and an understanding of transdermal pharmacology. So dermal skin. So transdermal means like it's crossing across the skin barrier. To date, the scientific method has not been applied to this topical delivery of plant extracts, nor has any identification of the potential active components been undertaken. This thesis outlines the work performed related to the identification of the plants from the ethnobotany perspective, extraction technique and procedure, preclinical studies on skin and wound healing, as well as bone repair and remodelling through fractures, deficits and fusion. Finally, the thesis presents the identification and analytical chemistry of the extracts. So basically, in layman's terms, this hibiscus oil and coconut oil has been used for generations on the Cook Islands. It's worked, but they don't understand why it's worked. So it's looking at that, and then in this entire thesis, it breaks down, how they went about extraction and the kind of issues that they were targeting, which was skin and wound healing and bone repair of fractures. So, I think sometimes people can almost take for granted the ability that transdermal products can have. And riddle me this, riddle me that, right? So we have been taught and told as pet parents that if we use topical flea and tick treatment, that they'll work, and they do work, right? Because you put that little drop of poison on the back of their neck, it's transdermal, and it goes, those pesticides flow in the blood, so when the flea or the tick bites the animal, they're poisoned and then they drop off. Obviously this isn't the space, I probably should do another video about this, but this isn't the space to talk about how problematic those products are, but I'm kind of using it more as more of an example as to, okay, we've been using transdermal stuff in pharmacology for a while, right? So before people poo-poo the coconut oil and the transdermal effects, we need to accept this as, well, I think we need to accept this as a valid treatment modality, just the transdermal aspect, because we've been doing it for flea and tick for however many years that people have been told that they need to put chemicals in their animals and we're destroying the environment. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Tvati. So I'm going to pause, and then I'm going to skip through this paper and find the bits that I was really like, ooh, about. I've just found this bit, and I think it's really important to pay homage to the origins of this, how would I describe it? It's cultural medicine. So the agents applied are a derivative of plants historically utilised by indigenous peoples of, I really hope I'm pronouncing this right, Rarotonga for the purposes of healing fractures. The project has been supported by the Kautunuai, a collection of the chiefs and Teunga, in brackets, traditional craft guilds including medicine, who alongside UNSW, so I think that was the hospital that this was, the orthopaedic hospital this study was conducted at, are beneficiaries of CIMRAD and CIMTECH. Oh, Titika Matiopo Ruby Doris Reed, I really hope I've said that correctly, is the president of the Kotunui and has been a friend and partner in this process since she discussed it with me so many years ago. Her support and conviction has ensured that the Kotunui has remained interested and supportive throughout this process. Her sudden passing has been a great loss, and the outcomes of this thesis will hopefully serve as part of her great legacy to her people. So this isn't just a quick to market kind of product. This is really important. There's a lot of cultural significance in this, and I think it's important that we play homage and we recognise that this is cultural medicine. So thank you for sharing this with the wider world. So yeah, right. I'm gonna keep zooming through, and I really hope I pronounced that correctly and everything correctly. Right, let's go. Okay, so I know I said, like, oh, I haven't read all of this paper, and I was like, I'm just going to find the bits that I really like, but actually there was so many different bits that I've liked. I've just been sat kind of reading and going through them. So, this study, well, it's actually several studies into different kind of aspects about the wound healing and fracture healing, and I've just read a thing about spinal fusion, and I think one thing to acknowledge is that there were rodent models used and rabbit models used. So obviously to kind of induce a fracture, this was done as ethically as possible. It was done under sedation. There was sufficient antibiotics and analgesics given afterwards. And then the animals were humanely euthanized. I think the word they use is sacrificed, to then have a look at the bone healing between the control group and so like basically the group that had the product and the group that didn't. There's also kind of more levels to this. They were looking at, you know, how does this particular part of the plant interact with coconut oil, or how does this particular part of the plant mix with another carrier. Like there's so many kind of like different things in this thesis. I cannot even begin to kind of comprehend how much work that went into this. And I think the use of kind of animal models can be a bit sometimes, but you know, there's ethics committees that you have to submit kind of your work to, and it's all done as ethically as possible. I think the amount of animals used in the kind of several studies across this is something like 300 rats or something like that. And I don't believe all of them were euthanized, but I think the numbers are pretty robust compared to, say, with some, you know, pharmaceutical companies will do a trial on 12 dogs and then put something to market. Librella, and this is a lot more robust, but there are obviously limitations, and this paper is very honest about the limitations of the study, especially when I was reading about the fracture healing, because there's so many different factors that go into fracture healing. So you can create as predictable kind of environments as humanly possible, but obviously there's going to be different extenuating circumstances. You know, was the rat able to kind of lick some of the product off? Did the product kind of run down their back, and like they were housed separately so other rats couldn't kind of lick it off? And there's all sorts of different things, but I think as long as when we're using animal models, that everything's done ethically, which when you're working in a university, it is ethical. So they are, you know, if we're going to do surgeries, they're done under anaesthetic with pain relief with antibiotics, and then, you know, they're humanely dispatched of. It's not something nice to talk about, but the more that I've studied, especially for my degree in biomedical science, the more I realise that actually a lot of studies use animal models. It's an uncomfortable truth, but if you're wanting research to back up something that you're saying, it's kind of a little bit of a necessary evil. You know, I'd rather animal models be used for something that's going to help painful animals or, you know, help with healing, than whether or not a new bloody eyeshadow is going to give you conjunctivitis. I don't know, because like animal testing, for cosmetics products is just, in my opinion, unacceptable. Whereas this is the advancement, what I believe to be advancing medical understanding. So, yeah, I know it can divide an audience, but I thought, I need with this particular paper, it was something that was, needed in that case. But anyway, I'm now going to talk about this bit that I've found. So, this was about the spinal fusion. So the histology reveals clear, specific, and consistent changes to the healing of the spinal fusion autograft after treatment that suggests an augmentation of the normal healing seen in untreated autograft. Mechanical testing suggests the equivalent or better strength is achieved earlier than untreated controls. There were no obvious complications associated with the treatment. So the thing that I love about this paper, there is oh my god, it's like so in depth. I'm like, ugh. That looks like heart and kidney. Where was the bit? There's like X-rays and CT scans and all sorts in this bit. Like literally, you could that was the mechanical testing. I think of the vertebrae, mechanical testing of just the histology of stuff, and then like comparing like 8 weeks. I think the other one was like 3 weeks, maybe. Like there's just, it's so rich in kind of like tangible data. It's like really, really interesting paper to read through. I wish I had the time to sit and really go through this with a fine-tooth comb, but everything I'm seeing, so when I looked at the fracture stuff, there was a difference seen, but the group wasn't big enough for it to be of statistical significance. And I think that was the case with the skin, like the wound healing stuff. There was positive seen, but it's not for enough for statistical significance and needed looking at further. So I think it's always really important when you're looking at research papers that they are highlighting where their kind of weaknesses are in the research that they've done. I think it shows a more balanced view. Let's have a look. We're gonna keep going. There's like I'm on page 243 at the moment, somewhere in here when I was scrolling, because literally if I'd have kept the camera going, it'd been me like this, my gob open. But right, I'll come back to you. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna find you some extra nuggets from this study. Here are the conclusions, because there was lots of different things that this thesis looked at. The extract of the plants do have biological activities to the skin and healing bones that are clear and reproducible. How cool. So cool. But obviously there's extra kind of caveats to that, because there's lots of things that they looked at. So topically applied extracts in coconut oil produce a local epithelial hypertrophy without irritation or inflammation to the region of application. The effect is consistent in 2 mammal species, in old and young animals, independent of estrogen, and is dose dependent. The carrier is important, so that's coconut oil, but not the cause of the effect, and the extraction may be in coconut oil, ethanol, or ethanol hydrocarbon, but needs to be in coconut oil to produce the effect. How cool is that? Okay, bone healing. Extracts of plant A applied topically in coconut oil produce an increase in new bone and cartilage in bone injuries distal to the site of application. This is consistent in fractures and bone defects. The extract may be in coconut oil ethanol or ethanol hydrocarbon, but must be in coconut oil to produce the effect. The effect is characterised by increased cartilage and new bone formation. I know you're excited, because I'm excited. Spinal fusion. Ethanol extracts of plant A in coconut oil cause an increase in the healing of spinal fusion after 6 weeks by increasing the amount of new bone and cartilage in the fusion mass. At 8 weeks, mechanical strength is at least equivalent to 12-week autograft controls. So cool. So goddamn cool. That's about the chemical analysis. Then I mentioned earlier about the limitations and kind of where we need to go next. I think there was another little bit future. Blah, 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 blah. I think was that it? Oh, that was it. So yeah, that's my very kind of muddled way of looking at an absolutely ginormous research paper. But I think it's important. I think it's important to have a look at, okay, so where did the use of hibiscus oil, I need to keep checking it to make sure I'm saying it right, kind of where did that come from? And it's indigenous medicine. And there was a really good bit, and it said, hang on son, it was something to the effects of this, hang on, wait a minute, aha, this is it. The aim of this thesis, the aim was not to provide conclusive evidence of the efficacy of a particular therapy in treating a condition. This thesis set out to investigate and characterise the biological effects of particular plant extracts on the skin tissues and on the healing of bone injury, and to characterise the biological effects in the specific plant extracts responsible for them. 2 specific biological effects were found, each involving different plant extracts, one causing the epidermal cells to proliferate and increase stratification, the other to increase new bone and cartilage formation at the site of bone injury. So cool. So I think that this thesis that I've read through is incredibly detailed. There's lots of different facets to it, and definitely gives me confidence in trying this product out. So let's open it up and have a look what's inside. So let's have a look inside this package. So it's in a resealable packet. It just says to keep it in a cool and dry place. The dogs definitely think it's a treat. It is not. It is a treat for your joint health. I didn't expect it to look like this, but I'm going to show you. So it's like these little pipettes, right? And you've got 30. Yeah, 30. So it's produced, proudly produced in the Cook Islands, and then packaged. I think they said it was ingredients sourced sustainably from the Cook Islands, and then it's packaged in the States. How cool is that? And also how easy as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back on the computer, and we're going to have a look at how much we should be putting on for Rodney. Okay, so I'm back on here now. So this is the Tvati website, and I wanted to have a look at the what's the recommended dosage. Do we have a loading dosage? And this is what is on here. Here we go. So, inspired by traditional Cook Island remedies and backed by peer-reviewed research, this easy-to-use topical application is applied once daily behind your pet's neck for 6 weeks. No pills, no hassles, just effective relief. Helps maintain healthy joints, supports energy levels, and naturally promotes long-term wellness. So I'm very, very particular about marketing. Anyone that pertains to say that they can cure arthritis with their product is talking out of their bumhole. So the fact that Tvati haven't done that, thumbs up from me. So how much should I apply for my pet's size? So small pets under 10 kg, so that's Rodney, 1 vial every 3rd day. So the daily topical is for 6 weeks, so that'll be your loading dose, and then it looks like the maintenance dose is 1 vial every 3rd day. Let's have a look. So if you do a one-time purchase of a pack of 30, that's 153 quid. And I know it's like, that's a lot of money, but if it is effective and you have the ability to kind of budget this in for your dog, I'm excited to see how it looks, and how Rodney will feel about it. So I was very kindly gifted two packs, so that means that I can do so if it's 30, How many days are in? How many days are in 6 weeks? Oh my days, Jasmine. How many days in 6 weeks? I can't even spell. 42. Okay, so I have enough to do the initial loading dose of daily for 6 weeks, or works. So that's 42 days, and then I've got some to put him onto the maintenance dose as well. So I'm excited. So I'll probably jump onto my other camera to show you how I'm going to apply the dose. Now, it says that you can apply it, which areas of the body you can apply it to. So you can apply it to the neck, or you can apply from the knee to ankle joint on all legs. Now, Rodney licks on a night. He licks his legs. It's part of his kind of like pain response. What I am going to do is I'm specifically going to apply daily to the back of his neck, just so I'm giving it the best opportunity I can, and then hopefully maybe one of his capabilities is that he'll stop licking his legs so much it means that I could apply it. But he's a very licky dog. So I think I'm going to stick, at least for the 6 weeks, I'm going to stick to topical application on the back of his neck. And then I'm going to try and apply it in the same way. So it says massage it in. So I'm thinking effleurage with my thumbs, or maybe just one thumb, part his hair. But we'll see. I'm going to get it up and see what I reckon. But to do that, I'm going to have to boot the other dogs out of here because they'll all be trying to lick it and sniff it. Okay, so I'm a filming genius, I think. So I have my vial, I have my dog. Right, can you do a nice sit? Oh, he's so clever. I'm going to let him sniff it first. Good boy. Because it just means that, oh, clever. And then I'm going to, break this off at the top. Whoa. Sniff it again. No application on eyes or lips though, Rod. Right, I'm just gonna, so I'm thinking just, well, it said neck, didn't it? I wanted to do it between the shoulder blades. Rod, is it there? Right, I'm gonna do it right at the base of his neck, in between his shoulder blades. So I'm just gonna part the fur, so you can see his little skin there. Oh. See that going on? Wait there, son. Wait there. Because this is suspicious, mama. This is indigenous medicine, son. Be respectful. Stay still. Right, make sure I get all that goodness out. So it comes out really thin, actually. Wait there, son. Okay, so that's base of his neck. I'm just gonna, in a circular motion, rub that in just at the base of his neck. So it's just on the ridge of his shoulder blade, so his scapula there, so it's right at the base of his neck. There we go. Right then, run free, greasy boy. Good boy. Good lad. There we go. Okay, so I have applied the Tvati onto Rodney, and yeah, so basically, that smells quite nice actually. It's coconut oil. I don't know what I was expecting, so it's safe for us. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on my hands, and basically I'm gonna come back in 6 weeks and let you know how Rodney's been doing. I have gait analysis footage of him already. Realistically, I think the biggest changes I'm going to see is in his behaviour. So right now, with Rodney's pain levels, if we've been out on a longer walk, his threshold for Peggy playing with him is reduced, so they can't play as much because that can very quickly lead to an escalation in his behaviour. Licking of his knees on a night as well is another kind of pain response that I can see from Rodney. But what I'll do is when I do my next video, I'm going to do some kind of like footage of, okay, this is what Rodney's pain looks like. And then in 6 weeks' time, I'm gonna say like, okay, and this is now what he does on an evening. I mean, he's 8 years old, and he's gonna lie down. Good lad. And for a dog that really doesn't like to be fussed with, that was a pretty easy application. Yes, he did a little shake off because I just had to kind of like hold his head a little bit. But if I'm doing this every day, he's gonna get used to that. But very minimal kind of stress response from Rodney. So yeah, I'm going to come back in 6 weeks and I'm going to let you know what I think of this product. If this video has been helpful, I know I've waffled a lot, but I think it's really important for people to understand my thought process, especially when I'm looking at new products that potentially could help my customers and the wider audience that I have. Tvati have been really gracious with their time, answering any of my questions. I will be having further meetings with some of the team, just because I always have lots of different questions. But from what I have read so far, what trusted people I trust have told me as well, I'm feeling very optimistic about this product. So yeah, let's see how we get on. But if you've enjoyed this, please make sure to like, share and subscribe, and I'll come back in 6 weeks and give you an answer to what I reckon to it. As always, lots of love to you and your dogs, and I'll catch you soon. Take care for now. Bye.